Thank you, everybody, for joining with us tonight at our monthly marketing and membership meeting. Tonight, Terri Orban is going to lead us through how to set up a Google business profile to increase your visibility on Google search. Terri is a marketing director for a large transportation company with offices in New York, New Jersey, and Florida. She is a relocation marketing specialist with more than 25 years of direct experience at two of the most recognized brand names in the moving industry, those being Mayflower Transit and United Van Lines. There, she oversaw local marketing, including Google Business and Yelp profiles for more than 500 locations across the country. Terri is an outstanding leader who earned her Bachelor of Science degree in Organizational Leadership, followed by an MBA from Maryville University. She has been active in Toastmasters since 2017 and has completed 2 paths, Dynamic Leadership and Engaging Humor. She currently is on the DTM track. She is a Division B director and has served as the District Education Committee member and has held every club officer position at her club. Let's welcome Terri Orban. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. It's so good to see all of you. Wanted to start this presentation by making it really clear that it's super important in this day and age for people to find you. You have to be online. And if you're not online and you're not on social media, you're giving your club an automatic deficit. We're going to talk a little bit today about the Google Business Profile and how to set up. I'm going to walk you step by step on how to set up a Google Business Profile. But before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about what is it? What is a Google local listing? What is a local pack? What is a local profile? So a Google listing local pack is the local business results when you search on Google. So for example, let's say you want to go out to have Taco Tuesday on Tuesday night. You search taco places near me. You're going to get that little screen that has 3 listings for businesses that are near you within a certain geographical distance for tacos that sell tacos. Note that this local pack can look different depending on the type of business it is. So restaurants can be a little bit different than other things. Yes, did you have a question, RJ?
Yeah, just curious, Terri, as far as search engine, search optimization and all that, does this affect organic or sponsored sites?
It does.
I mean, does it show those or does it mix them?
So yeah, so this doesn't, here's the differentiation. That's a great question. As a marketer and as a digital marketer, I've been doing it for several years. What you do in your Google local pack affects what happens, what you do on your website, affects how much you pay for Google paid. Everything is this universe. It's this a cylinder that keeps going around and around. And your Google local listing pack will only show and be ranked based upon the optimization you do to your Google business listing. But that also affects how your website is shown. Google takes that in effect. Whether you have a YouTube page, Google takes that in effect. Google really likes itself. So anything that you can do to have any Google properties linked to your Google business page and your website will help your rankings on search engines. So just keep that in mind. Make sure that you're doing the appropriate backlinking. At the very end of this, RJ, I'm going to give you a link to 2 different places that I have used over the years that keep up with search engine optimization, that really give great insights on what to do. Google is never going to tell you what they want you to do. Google is going to tell you what they don't want you to do. They're never going to tell you how to do something because they keep their secrets at best. So we want to make sure that we're going to the best places to get information. And the ones I give you at the end are going to be the best places to get information. So this Google local listing pack is where you're going to find when a person is looking for something near them. So they're looking based upon the proximity of where they're located. What's closest to me? What's the closest JCPenney to me? What's the closest Starbucks to me? That's what this Google pack is intended to show. When you type in Toastmasters near me, I could tell exactly who has set up Google My Business pages, because only Google My Business pages will show up in this if they have actually created one. And the less amount that is showed, Crossroads is showing up right. Crossroads is right down the road for me. So from a proximity search, they're right down. They're literally within 3 miles of me. Now, keep in mind, Clayton is not within 3 miles of me, and St. Louis, Missouri is not within 3 miles of me. So what that tells me is that there's very few Toastmasters clubs that have created a Google My Business listing. I'm sorry, it's called Google Business. Well, this is now. It's not. It's GBP. It is no longer Google My Business. I said it for a decade. I'm gonna could probably continue to say it for another decade. So you'll just have to excuse my vernacular on some of these. So Crossroads has created a site, and they do need some optimization. I can tell you that on theirs, but I'll talk to Art about that at a different time. One of the things that this is going to help you with, not only show people when they're searching for Toastmasters clubs, but also if they're searching for organizations near them, etc. The more optimization that you have on this page, the better. And I'll go into that a little bit later. First, I kind of want to show you what are the local ranking factors, okay? The ranking factors for your website, for you to show up on Google, the first thing that's most important, and this is a study that is done by Moz, M-O-Z, and again, I'll give you their link at the end here. Moz is one of the top search engine optimization and all digital properties on the web, and they give fantastic information in layman's terms, which is what I love about them. Everything's in layman's terms. For your search, your primary Google business profile category is super important on your local rankings. What category you pick. So for example, we'll go back to that Taco Tuesday. If you're an Italian restaurant and you pick that you're an Italian restaurant as opposed to a Mexican restaurant, if somebody searches for Mexican restaurants, the first thing Google is searching for is the category. They're going to try to find Mexican restaurants, the category Mexican restaurants near you. They're not going to be searching for Italian restaurants if somebody's typed Mexican, correct? Right? So make sure when you're setting these up that you choose the appropriate business category for any business that you have. Even if you have your own personal business at home, aside from Toastmasters, set up a Google My Business page so that you have, if you're a photographer, you show up as a photographer near somebody. The great thing is most of us live in a neighborhood or live around other people, and people who are searching, they're going to be searching around them for a photographer. And you will come up because Google, their number one priority is proximity to the customer. The first thing they care about is their customer. They don't care about the business as much as they do the customer. So keep that in mind. Keywords in your Google business profile title. That means if you are creating a business page on Google, you need to have the keywords associated with your type of business in your business name. So think about that when you're naming your business. If you are a plumber, yours should be RJ's Plumbing or Plumber RJ. It shouldn't be RJ Shack because that doesn't have plumbing in it, right? So keep that in mind when you're creating a page for your Toastmasters, whatever your Toastmasters name. So if it's High Noon, Toastmasters Club, that should be your business name. High Noon Toastmasters Club, not just High Noon, because that's generic, right? Any words that you could put in your business name will reiterate to Google, oh, their category is an organization. Oh, look, somebody just typed in Toastmasters or looking for a Toastmasters, which is an organization first, right? And Toastmasters in the name of your business. Those two things are going to help Google find you. Proximity address to the point of search. Again, I just talked about that. Google is always wanting to keep within 5 to 10 miles of a customer. After the first 5 mile, search drops off. You lose your ranking if you're 5 miles away from a customer. And it's pretty significant. You drop pretty significantly after, if you're 10 miles or out, you are really far out. So you have to start using long tail keywords. And I'm not going to get into the whole SEO marketing class. That's a whole nother class all by itself. But just keep in mind, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on how to help you rank because if you are an online club, you want to capture people from all over the area and all over the world. You just don't want to capture people that are within 5 to 10 miles of you. Physical address is important. Removal of spam listing through spam fighting. That is a little bit tricky. One of the things that you need to do, and it's not going to be a problem for us because I did a search for Toastmasters clubs and you saw what came up, only Toastmasters clubs. There were a lot of industries, plumbers, movers, which I was in, and locksmiths are the worst. They actually have a lot of people who are not so reputable in the business, and they'll create fake business profiles and put fake reviews on there. And my job, one of the jobs that I had when I was with my last company, was to search for those fake companies and ask Google to remove them. So if you're doing that, that actually helps with your rankings. High numeric Google ratings. So your reviews, the number of reviews that you have counts. How quickly you respond, and if you don't respond, it's going to hurt you. 2 reviews counts. The other thing that counts is your overall star rating. If you do not have a 4-point or more star rating on Google, they will not show that you have a star rating. They will rank you higher the more reviews you have. 200 reviews is actually the best point that they have suggested, that you get to at least 200 reviews and they will rank you higher. You think that's hard to do. It's not hard to do. I know 200 Toastmasters right now that if I asked them to do a review for my Toastmasters club, that they would go out and do it. So make sure that you are asking friends and family to leave reviews for you, and members, by the way. Additional Google business profiles categories. So I'll be talking about categories here in a second, and I'll explain that a little bit more deeply. Oh, I wanted to show you really quick. This is one of the things and why I talked about reviews more than anything else. When you're deciding between locals, this was a question asked on a survey. When you're deciding between local businesses, which part of the review matters most to you? Star rating is number 1. So you have to make sure that you have a good star rating. And I'm not saying don't ask a whole bunch of people to leave a review after review after review. Ask multiple people to leave reviews. Ask a variety of people leave reviews. You don't want to spam reviewing. You want to get legitimate reviews from a legitimate person who is constantly on Google, which most of us are. All of us are on Chrome, right? And 50% of us have an Android phone. So 50% of us have an Android phone. We have a Google account because you have to have an Android phone. So I'm going to walk you through how to create a Google login for your club. The first thing that you're going to need to do is you're going to have to create a Google account, meaning a Gmail account, so you can log in on Google. You create a master new Google Gmail account to manage your business. Some examples, I'm giving a couple examples there, crossroadstm@gmail.com. Make it a generic email that can be passed along to the new officers when you leave the next year. Make that generic. You can, as that person, and I'll talk about this later, you're able to share management on Google with other people with Gmail accounts, but you should have one main owner of your account. And I would make that one that is a generic one that if something happens to somebody, that somebody else can log on in their behalf. I have a link here. I am going to, along with the presentation that we are giving, and it's going to be recorded and it's going to be put on YouTube. I will also send Patty the printout of this document so that she can put that onto the District 8 website so that everybody has these links as well. So the first thing you're going to do, you're going to create a new Gmail account. What are you using it for? To manage a business. Make sure that you check that on your account type. Then you're going to create a business profile. So you can either create it with a physical address or without a physical address, which works well for us because some of us are online and some of us actually have a physical location. For those of us that online, when you go through this process, I just want you to note, you are going to have to put some sort of physical address in there because Google wants to know that you really do exist and they are going to verify that you really do exist. I created one for Continental Communicators. I kind of walked through it and gave my address, and you can actually have it so that it doesn't show the address on Google. So don't be weary of doing that. It's just so that Google knows that there's an actual human being behind creating this listing. If you are a club that does meet in person, you can create a Google My Business listing at the address of where you're meeting at. So if it happens to be at Grace Church, for example, you can create one at Grace Church. If you're at Anheuser-Busch, you can create one at Anheuser-Busch and say it's in Building A, Suite 3, or whatever the case may be when you have your meeting. It's not going to hurt you or Anheuser-Busch's Google My Business listing because you're in two different categories. Anheuser-Busch is definitely not a non-for-profit. We all know that for sure, right? And they are not a leadership institute or anything like that, or an association or organization. So they are a retail, manufacturing, beer maker. They have lots of categories of what Anheuser-Busch is, but the one thing they are not is a non-for-profit. So you don't have to worry about whether or not you're going to clash with their Google My Business, with your Google My Business listings. Just make sure you're putting that Toastmasters Club in the title of what you are. The first thing you're going to do to create a business profile is visit the Google Business and click the Manage Now button in the top right-hand corner. It's in the top right-hand corner and it's in the bottom left-hand corner. You hit Manage Now. Tom, what can I do for you? You're on mute.
What about having the same address as Anheuser-Busch, though? Is that going to create a conflict?
It is not going to create a conflict because you are a different category of business than they are. It is not going to harm you. It's just like think about a doctor's building. A doctor's building, they usually have one address, right? There's one address, 777 Watson Road. Has how many doctors in it? A lot, right? But they all have a listing on Google My Business, and they can do that because they're all different types of doctors, or they have different offices or suite numbers, or they're a different category completely. So one could be an orthopedist, and one could be a dentist, and one could be a general practitioner. So it is okay to do that. It's just the same reason why you could have 3 different business or a whole high rise. It has one address with suite numbers. It's the same exact thing. I had to deal with it because we always had, with my last business, most of our moving companies, when I worked for the major brand, had 2 different businesses at the same address. They just had to have 2 different categories and you're fine. 2 different phone numbers and 2 different categories and you're fine. The next thing you're going to do to create your business profile is enter your business name. Again, what did I say? Make sure that you are putting Toastmasters in your title. Even better if you call it Toastmasters Club. So Grace Church, Toastmasters Club. Continental Communicators, Toastmasters Club. Anheuser-Busch, Toastmasters Club. Whatever the name of your club is, add that Toastmasters Club after it. RJ, yours is a great example because you have Toast in it already, but I would still say Toast of Belleville, Toastmasters Club. Because that's what people are searching for. They're searching for Toastmasters Club. They're not searching for Toast of Belleville. And they're certainly not searching for Anheuser-Busch. Although it sounds really good.
So this sets up like it works like a hashtag, basically.
In essence, it kind of, all it does is it gives Google another opportunity to understand that business that they're looking, that search term that they're looking for is in the title of your business, so it must relate. Absolutely. So it helps your rankings. The next thing you're going to do is choose your business type. So it's going to, one of the things that you need to do, I have seen Crossroads and several of the other Toastmasters actually use nonprofit organization as their top category. I personally wouldn't suggest that. It's not the most horrible thing in the world because there's very few categories for something like us, but I would actually use association or organization. That's one category. It's called association or organization first, because yes, we are a nonprofit, You can use that as a secondary category. Later on, when you go into optimize your site, after you've already created, you go back into optimize it, you could create 5 additional subcategories. Then you could put non-for-profit in there, because non-for-profit has a certain connotation. And people, when they are looking for nonprofit organization, they're usually looking for a charitable company. They're not usually looking for a Toastmaster club. So just keep that in mind. It's, again, it's not a bad thing because we are nonprofit. You can put nonprofit. It's just that I think your first and foremost should be a association or organization. Also, when you go back in there, professional and hobby associations, that's an actual category. That's how it's spelled out. Professional and hobby associations. Choose all of these. Your main category is going to be association or organization. Then you're going to have 2 secondary categories: professional and hobby associations and nonprofit organizations. Okay. Then you're going to say, it's going to ask you, do you want to add a map location? And this is where I said you could choose whether or not you want to show your address on Google. I did not want to show my address on Google because the meeting is not at my house. We're online, right? But if you happen to be a physical location, you're going to choose yes here. If you choose no, then it's not going to show it. You could change it later on. If you mess up, don't freak out. Just keep going through the process. And you can always go back and change whether or not you want to show your address online. Where do you serve your customers? If you are online, you leave this blank and then you click next. If you are not, then you're going to choose the areas that you serve. If you're in Webster, put Webster Groves and surrounding areas is where you serve your customers. Okay? So they know what generalistic area you are and what's the closest to people, because again, Google likes you to be within 5 to 10 miles. So you can say the entire St. Louis metropolitan area if you would like. If that's what's, Belleville, you could say Belleville's pretty big and pretty generic. You may even say, I'm trying to think of other city over there that's not, Centerville. If you say you're from Centerville, right? You could put Centerville in there, you serve there as well. So just keep that in mind. But if you're online, you leave it blank. Then you're going to continue. You're going to add in a couple personal details. I blanked out. There is a phone number underneath there, but it was mine, so I blanked it out. The people who I love have my phone number already, so you guys know it. But and then you put in your URL of your club website on here. So hopefully all of you are using free ToastHost. If you're not, I highly suggest it. But put your number on here, all right? Then you go and it says, do you want to get alerts about your business profile? Here's what I'm going to tell you. Whoever's phone number that is that you use to start your Google My Business listing is going to get the alerts. It's not fun to get alerts from Google. You will get them all the time. My suggestion would be to not get alerts from Google. I'm just saying that as a person who hates getting alerts. My suggestion would be to daily go in and check your Google My Business listing for reviews, for any changes. If you have Gmail that came, they'll send you a Gmail as well. You do not have to get the alerts directly to your phone. All right. Then it's going to ask you to enter your mailing address. I use my personal mailing address. I'll get right with you in a second, Tom. So that's why it's blacked out, but there is an address there. Again, I chose to not show my address online, but they need a physical address to verify that you're a real human being. Yes, Tom. Still muted. There you go.
I'm sorry. Can you change that whether or not you get the alerts? So can you try it for a while, and if it's too much of a pain in the tush, you turn it off? Okay.
You can always go back in your Google My Business profile and change anything. Okay.
Thank you.
Some things, no problem. Some things when you change them take effect immediately. That would be one of them. Some things, if you change it later on, it takes a while and you may kind of mess up your Google My Business profile. One of those things is if you change your business name. So make sure you get it right the first time. I'm just putting that out there for you, because once you try to change your business name, they're going to think there's something shady going on, and they're going to ask for a little bit more background information to get you live again or to make the change. All right. So enter your mailing address, you hit the next button. It says and I'm going to tell you, it says you're now verified. The reason it said that for me, because I have created probably 1,200 Google My Business listings in the last 20 years. So it recognizes me and says, oh, she's legit, right? You may not be so lucky. It may tell you that we're going to have to send you a postcard in the mail. And they will send you a postcard in the mail to the address that you put in here with a 6-digit code on it. You will have to come back later on into here and add that PIN number, that key they'll give you a little PIN number to add in to verify. They just want to make sure there's a human being on the other side. All right. So I was lucky. You may get a thing said, we're going to send you a postcard. So I just wanted to note that difference right in that step. You're going to add your business hours. Don't add your business hours if you are not there. I am just saying your only business hours should be when you're having a meeting. That's the only business hours that you should have. Otherwise, don't put business hours in here because you got people show up anytime. All right. Then do you want to accept messaging? Same thing. Do you want to get this means, do you want to get messages from people who looked you up on Google and have a question and are going to send you a message to the cell phone number that you put in the profile? If I, again, would suggest no, but because it's Google and anybody can send you a message, you will get a lot of spam and a lot of junk. I personally would turn it off. You're giving them the opportunity. You're going to put your website in there. You may even put an email address that they can contact on your Google My Business profile. I personally, that's me, would not want to get messages from the Google listing, right? You're going to add your business description. This is where you're going to use your SEO talents. You're going to create a business description about your club with key terms that you think are appropriate that people are going to search for, like public speaking skills. Like, are you afraid to talk in front of people? Make it very, very user-friendly. Think about if you were looking for, if you pretend you're not a Toastmaster, if you were looking for a Toastmaster club, what would you search for on Google? And those are some keywords that need to be in yours. I can certainly, if anybody wants to, what I utilize, that's the top paragraph. There's another paragraph that I have underneath that. But I first put a couple of keywords in there, and including Toastmasters Club, public speaking, confidence, leadership is in the bottom paragraph. So use all of those key terms that are important when people are looking for Toastmasters clubs. You're going to create you're going to add photos. I would not do this right now unless you have them handy, because you're trying to get through this process and you're trying to create your profile. You can always go back and add photos. At least if you try to add one, if you have the Toastmaster logo or you have the Toastmaster logo with your name underneath it, like Toast of Belleville underneath it, you can add that as your first picture, and that will be the picture that shows up on your Google Business profile page. Yes, RJ.
Yeah, real quick, without getting too deep into this, Terri, the analytics, wouldn't it be better if you added, just to keep it flowing and keeps fresh content on there, maybe add a picture one at a time or something like that, a little bit at a time to keep it updated?
You are correct. I was going to go into that a little bit later, but yes, the one thing that Google loves is to make sure that you're actually who you are and you're actually active with the business. So continuously updating your Google My Business profile is the optimal way to help with your rankings. So perhaps you say once a month, I'm going to go in and add a picture. Once a month, I'm going to go add in a meeting date. Once a month, so that you're just continuously updating. Also making posts, and I'll go through that a little bit later. Adding posts is very important as well. So then it's going to ask you if you want to advertise. It's not necessarily a bad idea to advertise if you have the budget for it at your club, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's not cheap. So I would skip this for now until you can think about it and do a little bit more research on whether or not you want to advertise with Google. So verification, if you do have to get the postcard, even I was verified right away. It's still not going to go live probably for 10 to 12 days, but the verification process can take up to 30 days. So if you want to create a Google My Business listing, just know it's not going to happen in one day. You're going to create it, and then it could take 24 hours. It could take 24 days to go live. Google, the one thing Google is inconsistent. They're consistently inconsistent. So keep that in mind. Again, they may need to send you a verification postcard. Look for it. It literally is a white postcard with a little Google logo on it. And on the back, it has a couple words. It looks like junk mail and can very easily be thrown away. When you're doing this, watch out for it. Okay. And then after you've done that, check back on Google Daily until you are verified and live. And then you can go back and make changes. Again, on your Google My Business listing, go back in and add images, frequently asked questions. There's a section for frequently asked questions in there. Google actually looks at the content and those frequently asked questions when your people are doing search. Example, how much does it cost to join Toastmasters? Is a great question. You know, you can also answer your questions. So you can put a question in and then you can answer your own questions. So that is really going to help you with your ranking factor, your keyword ranking factors, is creating a question and answering the question. You could also create the question, answer the question, and then have a couple of your friends that happen to like your Google business page and have them like that question, because that also helps with the rankings if people like your questions on frequently asked questions. The more you complete your profile, the better your rank will be. So go back, make time, go back and check, recheck, and optimize continuously. You may just want to put on your calendar every 2 weeks, I'm going to do something to my Google business profile, whether it's upload a picture, create a post, whatever that is. So, and we're going to talk about continual optimization. Add posts. It's really important for you to add posts. Posts, the SEO girth for a post only lasts 30 days. So you want to be making a post for your Google My Business listing at least once every 30 days. You can take the same ones that you put on Facebook, or if you do Instagram, take those same exact posts and put them on Google My Business. It's okay to do that in this situation. I would add events for each one of your meetings. You can or cannot include the Zoom link. There are pros and cons to this. I don't want to get deeply into it, but there are Zoom bandits out there that will come and utilize your Zoom links and also come on and crash your party, if you will. So just make sure if you would prefer people would contact you for that Zoom link, you can have them do that or put it on your Google My Business page, whatever is more comfortable for you. You can always remove it if you need to later. Yes, RJ.
Yeah, Terry, quick question, because you're talking about all the Google platforms, if you will, that are all interconnected and affect each other.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna date myself here, but what are they? YouTube, Facebook? I'm not sure what all the Google platforms are.
Google platforms will be paid. All right. Google search, Google paid ads, YouTube, and the Google business listings. Those are the main Google platforms. They have other entities that they own, but those are the main ones that you're going to want to do. They also search on Yelp. They also search on Facebook to make sure that you're a genuine business. So make sure there's also other places like, I'm trying to think of examples off the top of my head right now, but yellowpages.com. They check yellowpages.com to see if you're listed on there as well, to verify that your address and everything is correct, that you're a legitimate business. So anytime that you can get your name out there somewhere listed online on a business listing page, it's important for you to do that. Okay. So I talked about post, add events on there for each one of your meetings that are coming up. If you're a private club, you can't do that, but you could still add posts if you want. You may not even want to do this as your private club, to be honest with you, because if you're a private club and nobody can come from the outside, why are you messing with Google? I mean, I hate to say it that way, but do you really need Google search? Probably not. add events for open houses, etc. Conferences, whatever the case may be. Make sure those add those in as events. And you could do that. I have this little screen capture. I don't know if you'll be able to see but right up here, add update. That's where you would go in and add posts and events. Get reviews. I talked about this a little bit earlier, but it's 3 of the top ranking factors are about reviews. I mentioned those earlier. The number of reviews, how quickly you respond to the reviews, and your actual ranking. Those are very, very important to Google. They 100% affects your ranking, so make sure you're getting reviews. Turn on your address if you need to. So if you, again, if you turned it off at the beginning, you can go and turn it on, your physical address if you guys meet in person. If you don't, then you could turn it back off again. It's a flip of a switch, actually, literally a flip of a switch to turn it off and on. I talked earlier about resources. So this resource right here, support.google.com/business/answer 7091. That one, that is actually how to create a local business page on Google. You can also just Google creating a Google business listing page, and it'll pop right up. One of the companies that I talked about earlier was Moz. Moz has a local ranking factor that they do every 2 years. Is a report they do every 2 years. They take about 100 to 150, depending on the year, people in the industry that are top professionals in the search engine industry, and they culminate and get together and put their heads together, little think lab, to figure out what Google's doing today and say, here are the top ranking factors, because Google's not going to tell you what it is. So they are telling you what the top Google ranking factors are. Yes, RJ.
Yeah, I'm just curious about one other thing now, and I hate to keep jumping in with these questions, Terri, but picking your brain
Okay.
here. There used to be, and I cannot remember the name of it, but there was a platform or like Moz where you could do reverse searches for keywords. I don't know if that still exists.
Well, here's the thing. Google took away for organic search. They took away the ability to figure out what the top search engine keywords are for. So if you looked on your page for, let's say, moving company, and you wanted to see how many people search for moving company this year, it's a little bit more difficult than it used to be. But there are several different free programs that you can utilize. Just do a quick Google search and type in looking for keyword ranking programs, free keyword ranking programs, and some of them will come up. There's quite a few of them out there that are free.
There used to be one called Overture. That's why I'm asking.
Yes. Overture does not. I don't think Overture exists anymore. You're aging yourself, RJ, just like, because I knew what Overture was. So I know that I'm aging myself too, because they haven't existed for quite a while. But there are other companies out there that are like SEMrush is one of them. There's quite a few different, ones out there that you can look. Okay. The other place that I would, and look at Moz and Search Engine Land, because they'll tell you the best ones for free, by the way. Search Engine Land is a great place to look for anything search engine related. Make sure you're always looking for the term local. You're looking for local marketing. You are looking for SEO. That is true for your website, but local marketing is what Google emphasizes now. So you're going to do your generic SEO principles, but you're also going to do your local ranking principles as well. All right, I could take a breath now. That is my presentation. That was 45 minutes, but I wanted to leave some time for questions and answers at the end as well. If anybody has any further questions, please feel free to raise your hand. RJ, are you still You have a question still?
Oh, no, but I did have a comment real quick. I'll throw in there.
Sure.
This is a great presentation. Thank you, Terri, because and one thing I did want to mention for everybody's sake on there as well, because I'm dealing with Meetup right now, and a lot of stuff we're doing with that. Everything that you're talking about in here is applicable to the other platforms exactly, as far as some of the stuff you need to pay attention to. Thank you.
Absolutely. So thank you very much. And I'll bring that up again. So I 100% agree with RJ on that. Please note that everybody wants to be Google. Google is the god of search engine land, right? They're everything. Everybody wants to be Google. Google is they're the top dog. So if you are showing on Google and you're doing your ranking and you're doing your optimization based on Google standards, you can't, that's the way you should do it. You can't lose. You have to do it by Google's rules, because if you don't, it doesn't matter if you show up on Dogpile. That's actually a website, by the way, a search engine. It doesn't matter if you show up there as a business listing, because most people don't go there. It's a tertiary. Almost everybody goes to Google, and Safari uses the same principles. So just keep that in mind. Paul, you had a question. Hi, Paul, by the way.
Yes,
You're on mute.
I had created my profile before seeing this, and I own our business profile. Is it that difficult, or is there any challenges with transferring it to that generic account that you recommended?
Absolutely not. It's super easy. I can actually show you how to do it if you want me to show you how to do it. But you have to promise not to tell anybody that I showed you, because I'll have to do it on one of my other accounts, since my one is not live yet. So I'm going to do.
I just wanted to know if there were any challenges in doing that. I can create the other.
No. So just, yeah, go into manage users. So what you'll do is when you do the Google search, you get that navigation pane, right, that has all those little buttons like I showed you. Let me go back to that. Right. So you're going to see that. That's going to be your Google business listing information. You're going to click on those three little buttons at the top there. We call it the hamburger, right? The little three little dots. One of them is going to be, I think, manage users is what it's called. Click on that. And you can add additional owners. So you'll add them as an owner, whoever it is that you want to add as an owner. They will have to go out, accept it as owner. You will have to wait 7 business days. Then you can transfer ownership to them completely. All right. You can have secondary owners and you can have managers. So managers, the only thing that managers cannot do is delete a business listing or add a user. So if only owners can do that. But they can do everything else on your page. So keep that in mind. All right.
Sounds good.
Good question. Any other questions? Yes, Patty.
I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now.
Okay.
Just because I want to get that stopped. And